Lizarra's Viral Growth 3 by MagnusMagneto. Commissioned by MeWizard. As Lizarra rose the next morning, she not only felt more energized than ever before, but also excited for the day ahead. She was eager to see not only how her body had changed overnight, but also how much stronger she would be during exercising, and what work in her new position would be like. Lizarra leapt out of bed, causing the floor to shake a little underneath her weight. She looked down at her chest and tensed it while spreading her back, breasts rising proudly. A pair of tears started to form down the center her top. She pumped her chest a few times, making the tear deepen a little. As much as I love these pajamas, I'm more excited about growing bigger so I can tear them apart, she said with a chuckle. Hopefully I can make some more progress tomorrow. She quickly threw herself into her morning workout, delighted to find that every exercise was even easier than it had been the day before. After exhausting herself and showering, Lizarra eagerly started her workday. During this, she asserted her will with greater dominance than ever before, effortlessly ordering everyone beneath her to finish their tasks in a timely manner, all the while providing enough comforting words to make them happy to comply. It's kind of thrilling how submissive everyone is. I want to boss even more people around, she thought with a giggle. In the evening, after completing her third workout for the day and chatting with Jelly, Lizarra considered watching TV like usual, but had a nagging feeling that she should spend her time on something to further her personal development. Instead, she opted to start reading a programming textbook she had bought years ago but never bothered with until now. The concepts within were difficult for her to comprehend, but she persisted, her intense focus allowing her to push through the mental discomfort and complete the first few chapters before finally going to sleep. Lizarra's dream that night differed from its usual themes. While she was still hypermuscular in it, she was now surrounded by floating high-tech computer monitors, dense, complicated scientific texts on them. Somehow, she was simultaneously reading them all at once, effortlessly absorbing their information. She felt her brain thrumming, strengthening from the stimulation. Pen and paper appeared on the desk in front of her. With them, she began writing out a math formula that her dream self knew wasn't invented in the real world yet. Glancing down, Jelly appeared beneath her. He looked up with loving, eager eyes before starting to pleasure her enthusiastically. Teeth gritting with ecstasy, she looked up at one of the computer monitors, and it suddenly transformed into a mirror. She stared deeply into it, and watched as her face began to transform. Her eyes sparkled more brightly, lips plumped and reddened, and facial features sharpened as her beauty increased to supernatural levels. Between the sight of herself and the stimulation from Jelly, she climaxed so hard it awoke her in the real world. Sweating, Lizarra sat up. After wiping her brow, she got out of bed and performed her exercise routine again until exhaustion before laying back in bed and returning to sleep. The following morning, as Lizarra examined her face in the mirror from various angles, she muttered, "I swear that my skin, hair and eyes are more vibrant than ever. Even after the recent upgrades, it's just like in my dream." She glanced down at her body, loving the sight of her muscles bulging against her pajamas. She tensed her bicep, and it tore through the tight fabric. "Yes!" she cheered at the sight of the muscle's split peak emerging. She effortlessly tore the sleeves off completely before indulgently flexing a few times. "Let's get these babies pumped up," she said before walking over to the pull-up bar. Lizarra completed 10 chin-ups with barely any strain on her arms. "At the start of last week, chin-ups were nearly impossible for me, and now they're almost too easy." She laughed with delight. "Let's see if I can..." She put one hand behind her back and chinned her entire weight with the other. She managed to do this 13 times with each arm, before dropping to the ground. "I just love getting stronger and stronger. When I'm finally done with this quarantine, I might need to join a gym to properly challenge these muscles. Or Given the way things are going, maybe I'll end up just buying all the equipment for a home gym, she mused before going through the rest of her exercise regiment. After thoroughly exhausting herself, Lizarra enjoyed a hot shower, loving the sensation of feeling her pumped muscles and basking in the afterglow of the exercise-induced endorphins. Despite being given many new responsibilities from her promotion, Lizarra handled them with ease, her mind working sharper than ever. She now had employees working under her, who unanimously praised her as better than their previous boss. During some downtime, she individually asked a few of them who knew her before on video chat if she looked different than usual, all of them admitting that she had somehow become more attractive, confirming her earlier suspicions. Being praised for her managerial abilities, combined with the knowledge of how much more money she was earning, sparked a new hunger within Lizarra, a desire for greater power over others and wealth that she hadn't experienced before. At night, Lizarra continued to read the programming book, finding it less mentally taxing to comprehend than the night before despite the concepts increasing in complexity. The next few days followed a similar pattern. Lizarra's growth seemed to be accelerating. Each night she had grown a little more than night preceding it. Her dreams increased with intensity, her dream self becoming more superhumanly strong, intelligent, and beautiful, while her real self became closer to this ideal. She was now eating more than 3 times as much food as Jelly, and found herself desiring more. Not wanting to overwork or worry him too much, she began secretly ordering delivery and having it brought to the bedroom window, further increasing her mammoth caloric intake. She finished the programming book on Thursday night, leaving her eager to start experimenting with creating software of her own and potentially automating parts of her job. Friday morning. 98, 99, 100. Lizarra cheered before dropping to the ground. I just did 101 armed chin-ups, she announced with disbelief, staring at her engorged bicep. The thick blue vein wrapped around it pulsed slowly with each steady beat of her powerful heart, which had barely been elevated despite the exertion. She started to pose in the mirror, flexing all of her upper body muscles at once, when there was suddenly a large, tearing sound. Lizarra's desire to outgrow her pajamas came true as the splits on them gave way, the entire garment falling off of her and onto the ground. I'll buy some new ones soon enough, but for now I'm just going to enjoy looking at my incredible body, she chuckled before returning to posing. Her arms were now the largest she had seen in person, only images of the heaviest male bodybuilders could compare now. Beneath them were massive, broad shoulders sitting atop a vast V-taper of back muscle. Her breasts were now so massive that she needed a mirror to see her thick, rippling 8-pack, while her rear was now so immense that she would never dare trying to fit them into pants again. Considering how much I've grown since I last measured myself, this would be a good time to do so, Lizarra said to herself, retrieving the measuring tape. First, she checked her height. 185 centimeters. I can hardly believe it, she said. Jell is going to have to get used to standing on his tiptoes to kiss me, she giggled. Next, she flexed her right bicep and wrapped the tape around it. 50 centimeters. Amazing, though I have to admit that I kind of want it to grow even bigger, she chuckled before stretching the tape across her chest, her eyes bulging a little as it displayed 158 centimeters. She brought the measure around her waist, which was 74.5 centimeters, and looked tiny compared to her chest and hips. Tummy shrank even more, she giggled with delight as she measured her hips. Just a smidgen under 150. Fuck, my body is unreal now. She bit her lip as she slid the tape around her thigh and tensed it. A little over 90. Incredible. Each leg is way thicker than my waist. After standing up tall, she decided it was time to check her weight. Standing on the scale, her eyes lit up with anticipation as its needle pushed further and further, quickly reaching 100 kilograms and continuing to increase. Lizarra found herself so aroused by her body and its measurements that she nearly pleasured herself, only stopping because she heard Jelly delivering her extra-large breakfast. Just wait until he finally sees me, she thought, eagerly anticipating it. Lizarra spent the rest of the day nude, her co-workers none the wiser thanks to careful positioning of her camera. After work, she started experimenting with programming, amazed at how quickly she managed to put together fully functional test software. Shouldn't be too long until I make something that's actually useful, she said proudly to herself. Her nightly conversation with Jelly took an unexpected turn when he announced that he had tested positive for the virus. Lizarra was initially devastated, but quickly realized something. Well, that should make it safe for us to see each other then, since we'd both have it. I suppose you're right. Are you sure that you don't want to risk somehow getting sicker from exposure to me? Lizarra chuckled. Oh, sweetie, if that happened, I'm sure I can more than handle it. I'm coming out, all right? Before Jelly could answer, Lizarra hung the phone up and immediately left the bedroom, her enormous body creating loud, powerful footsteps that shook the floor as she excitedly scrambled into the living room. As Jelly finally laid eyes on his wife for the first time in 2 weeks, he dropped the mug of tea he was holding, jaw literally dropping at the sight before him. To be continued. If you enjoyed this story, consider the supporter edition in the description. Subscribe to the channel to be notified of future installments. Leave a like and comment below.